Your grandmother. It is nice to finally meet you, Yuba answered, smiling rather awkwardly. You're my father's. It's nice to meet you too. Rio stared at Yuba's face blankly for a moment, before bowing his head uncomfortably. Yuba seemed to recognize her next question as being a difficult one, but she couldn't help but ask it anyway. I'm sorry, but could you tell me a little more? I'd like to hear about your reason for coming to this land from so far away, just to search for information about those two. The effort you've put in, and the hardships you have gone through to reach here, must be far beyond my imagination. Rio hesitated for a few moments before answering. I wanted to make a grave. I don't have any remains or mementos, but I wanted to mourn them in their own homeland. And my mother had promised to take me to her hometown someday. She passed away before we could make that happen, but I wanted to try to make it to this land myself. He answered carefully. I see. You did well to make it here. However, the truth is, how should I put this? Their graves already exist, Yuba said with a hint.
Unfortunately, my mic was not working still, so that's kind of a scam, and I feel so bad about it. I'm running out of resources for this. I'm kind of nervous right now. And here, you can see my mic is resources for this. It turns out, my mic is resources for this. It turns out, here you can see my mic is resources for this. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pause it for later. For now, where is this? Oh, that's so nice. You get a 12% max HP boost for Vice. I'll be needing to farm some materials. Where do I go? Wait, what are Cartesius material? I'll be needing to farm some materials. I guess that was so. Wait, what are that was not so loud. I mean, my mic. We need to find some materials. Hello. I guess that was so. Wait, what are that was? I mean, the volume was not that good. Or tortilla materials. Unfading glory, world boss. Okay, I don't think I can get this one right now. I guess this will be available only when the new boss was released. I think. Yeah, definitely the new boss. It's not yet available. That's too bad. call me when the new boss was released. I think, yeah, yeah, definitely. It's not yet available. Hmm. That's too bad. Call me when the new boss was released. I think. With regards with my mic, unfortunately, it cannot be helped. So, I guess I'll just shut up and start playing silently once more. I would really love to speak over it on the mic, but I also recognize that I'm awkward. Um, okay, I don't know what to say. So yeah, I'll just play silently and turn up my mic right now. Where is it?
Of reluctance. Their graves already exist? But didn't they leave this land alive? Rio unintentionally asked out loud, taken by surprise. Yes, that's correct. But their graves exist. Judging by your reaction, it seems you are unaware of their reasons for abandoning their homeland. Is that right? Yuba asked while peering at Rio's face. Yes, that is true. Does that mean you know why, Lady Yuba? Rio asked in return. Indeed, I know the reason. However, you'll have to forgive me, as I cannot tell you the details myself. Yuba shook her head with an apologetic look. May I ask why? Certain circumstances drove the two of them to leave this country in secret. Since there was no chance that they'd return, those who knew the truth constructed graves for them on the hill. That is all I can tell you right now, Yuba replied, selecting her words carefully. They left this country in secret. For now, I will lead you to their graves. Would you like to hold a memorial service for them? Yuba offered to a contemplative Rio. Yes, of course. Please allow me to do that. To be honest, there was still a lot that was left unclear, but there was no point in Rio pondering over it any more than this. If Yuba had no intention of answering him, then he wasn't about to force her to. Rio decided to focus on the matter of his parents' graves first. Afterward, Yuba led Rio to the small hill a little ways north of the village. The top of the hill offered a sweeping view of the village below and the mountains surrounding it, making the scenery quite beautiful. Two stone pillars stood before that backdrop. They had been maintained very well, as they were neat and tidy, with no signs of wind erosion. These are their graves. Their names aren't carved on them, but they're filled with their keepsakes, Yuba said as she stood before the stone pillars. I see. Rio nodded vaguely, his eyes fixed on the stone pillars. Perhaps I can tell you what happened to your parents when the time comes, Yuba said slowly as she looked at Rio. Rio's eyes widened, and he stared back at her. Would you consider staying in this village until that time comes? Yuba asked, her expression filled with affection. Would that be all right? Hiu questione dvojedli. You are my grandson. There's no need for a grandchild to act modest around his grandmother, Yuba replied with a bright smile on her face. Grandchild, grandmother. Rio muttered the words, as though he was mulling over them. There are more than enough spare rooms. My relatives have all died from war and sickness, so it's just me and Ruri right now. She's the older girl who led you to my home, Yuba explained as Rio stood there in silence. And Ruri, is she? She's the daughter of Zen's older brother, which makes her your cousin. She's 15 right now. I see. That makes her 1 year older than me. I'm surprised to hear you're so young. While your face is still childish, your personality is so mature that I mistook you for being older. That's not true. Rio finally cracked a faint smile and shook his head. That made Yuba give a huff of laughter. Is that so? Well, that's that. Can I take that as a yes to my offer? Yes. I will be in your care, Rio said hesitantly, bowing his head at Yuba. It would be my pleasure to have you with me. I know it may be difficult to adjust immediately, but there's no need to be so stiff. Relax and be at ease, Yuba said with a small shrug. Okay, Yuba. Rio decided to simply call her by her name, instead of Lady Yuba. When he thought about the fact she was his real grandmother, he found it easier to call her that. Fufu. Oh, speaking of which, is it all right if we hide the truth of your heritage from the rest of the villagers? Yuba asked with a cheerful grin. Of course, that would be fine, Rio agreed, picking up on the implication behind Yuba's words. They couldn't reveal Rio's origins to the village because of the circumstances that had caused Zen and Ayam to leave the country. It was possible, no, it was almost certain, that there would be people in this village that had known them. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. We can decide on the rest of the details at the house. I'm gonna head back now. Would you like to stay here a little longer? Yuba asked out of consideration for Rio. Yes, please. Do you know the way back? I'll be fine. Oh? Then make sure you come back before the sun sets. We'll host a welcome party for you, though it will be a small one. With that, Yuba turned on her heel and left. Thank you for your hospitality, Rio said, bowing deeply toward Yuba's retreating back. Once Yuba's figure had disappeared from view, he raised his head to the stone pillars. I guess that means I'll be staying at your place for a while, Dad. It still hasn't quite sunk in that I have relatives other than the two of you, though? Rio muttered toward the pillars, a trace of bewilderment